Okay, so now we're looking at documenting the actual plan itself. So we've started thinking about how we want to lay out our organisation and what we want to do. Now we need to actually come up with some sort of written plan that actually allows us then to be able to track and measure and understand what it is that we're doing. Now, the point about a plan is that these plans are always going to be very individual and very unique to your business, and there isn't really one correct way to do it because every business is going to be somewhat different. So we need to come up with some sort of way of tracking the data. What's common is that it's always going to be an annual plan. When we start to look at a business plan, we're not looking at necessarily a longer time picture for the operational side. We do have a 3 to 5 year strategic level, and then we get down to the nitty-gritty day-to-day, month-to-month. Okay, so there are a lot of different types of business plans out there. There's a lot of documents, templates. There are myriad, there's an unlimited number, and you can get quite a lot of them for next to nothing, free, sample, whatever it happens to be. The New South Wales government puts out a great one, My Business Plan, which is strangely enough a business plan template that you can throw everything into, but you have to find the one that works for you. Regardless of the actual style and layout though, there are a few key considerations that are always going to be pretty much universal. And the first one really is to use plain English in your business plan. With your business plan, it can't be confusing as to what you're trying to achieve. It needs to be very evident to the person what's going on. You know, why are you making the decisions you're making? What are they? Where are they? How are they going to be? You need to be really clear about the aims so that whoever's reading that can really quickly understand what you're trying to achieve, and there's no ambiguity, so they don't actually ever get off on the wrong foot. Okay, so make sure you organise your thoughts. Okay, so before you even begin really writing, sit down and think about what do you want to achieve. Okay, make some bullet points about things that you need to include in your plan so they don't get missed. You need to group the ideas into like concepts. So if it happens to be about sales, put all your sales in, the sales box. Put all your ideas into the same place so that when we read through your plan, it starts to become fairly logical and well ordered. Okay? Keeping it short and simple is also quite important. Once again, it doesn't then allow us the opportunity to accidentally sidetrack ourselves, confuse a reader, or get people lost. They need to know what's going on, so we're going to keep it short and simple. So we're also going to avoid unnecessary flowery words and trite phrases. What that means is we're not trying to put any sort of great big, we will be the best at whatever, blah, 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 okay? Keep it to the point, okay? This isn't the opportunity to go off on very nice arty phrases or arty words. We need to actually just get really down to what are we doing? How do we intend to do it? What are the numbers? What is the aim, etc. Okay, so this is very much a plain English type process. The words, preferably use short words. If it's a long word or it could be confusing, once again, take it out. Remember, this plan isn't just for you. This plan has got to be given to your other team members, and that could be anything from people who don't necessarily speak English as a first language to people that might have very different education levels. It needs to be able to be understood by anyone who comes into contact with that plan. So you do need to keep the words to the point. Okay, try and write as naturally as possible also when you're doing these things. We don't want to get into a case where the writing is convoluted. A lot of people write one way, sort of very academic and very formal. In this case, look, keep it natural, keep it easy to understand. Okay, we want the language to be positive and precise. So what we're going to try and do there is we're going to try and keep it upbeat. We don't want to talk about failures, we don't want to talk the negative, we don't want to talk about punishments, we don't want to talk about any of those things. This is our opportunity to sell our plan and have people look at the positives. What's going to come out of it, what it's going to do for our people, if we can achieve these goals, why that's going to be important to us, what are we going to get out of it. Okay? We want to make sure that we write actively, not passively. In other words, it's a lot of I. It's a lot of, we're doing things, okay? So it's not about if and but. It's a very active type document, okay? You're writing it for the reader. Once again, you're writing this document that, yes, you're going to use and you're going to pay attention to. But the document has to be very much written so that the person picking it up can be invited to keep reading. As we say, we're not trying to frighten them. We're not trying to make it hard. We want to write for their benefit so they can go through there. Your spelling and grammar become very important as well. Obvious spelling mistakes, really not a good look, okay? So we need to go through and check that. Once again, this isn't some sort of academic document where everything has to be precise, but little spelling mistakes really cut away at the professionalism of the document. So we need to pick those up. Use your spell checker on your Word document. Have a friend read it to make sure your sentences make sense. And once again, small, short words, easy sentences, write casually and get that point across. As far as the layout, we want to make sure that when we do it, it is a professional document. Okay, so when we're setting it out and putting our layouts and our headings and all the tables, etc., make sure that it reflects those professional standards that we need. There's no point having some really, badly put together document that's hard to follow that looks like it was just done in a lunch break, okay? So we want to make sure that we maximize that opportunity. The way we do that is by employing really good business writing skills, okay? So when we use our business writing skills, we think about clarity, okay? We need to be really clear about our purpose, what are we writing for? Okay, so why are we putting this document together? Okay, so that's clarity for us. The next one that we need to start to think about is as our planning. Okay, so we've got to be clear, but we also need to be planned. We need to think about what is it that we want to say. Okay, so we know why we're saying it and what we're out to do, but now we're going to think about, well, what is the message that I really want to get across to people? What are the key points of this that I really want to make sure I don't, miscommunicate? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a draft document. Okay, so your draft is put the document together. Start getting all the bits and pieces. You've thought about where you're putting them. You've thought about the messages. You get them into your initial document so that you can actually take a good look at this document and read through and make sure it makes sense. Once we've done that, we move on to the edit phase. Okay, now your draft, get a friend to read it if you want, but the idea is you should be able to then go back through your document, find out all your little mistakes, all those errors. If you've got a hard copy printed out in front of you, that's when you can really see if you've made a mistake. You want to see what the printed copy looks like. Once we've edited, we produce a final draft, okay, because we're not quite done yet. Yes, I know it's a bit of a process, but that's okay. It's worth it in the end. Remember, this document's going to be with you for a year and people are going to be reading it. So we're going to produce the final draft. We're going to make sure that everything's okay. We're pretty sure, and we're going to check it carefully. Okay, so our final check to make sure it's okay. Okay, this is when you get your buddy back that you used up here and say, hey, have another quick look. Maybe get someone else to look at it as well. And then we're going to make sure that our document's actually good to go. Once we've done that, then we can start thinking about, well, how can we get that out to everybody else? And that becomes part of a communications plan later on. But ultimately, what we end up doing here is we've documented the plan. We've thought about making sure that it's an easy-to-read document. We've understood why we've put it together. We've understood what it's attempting to do, and we've thought about some considerations to make sure that we're actually achieving that. With the documentation, as I say, you can go out there. There's plenty of places where you can find good business plans. The key point is to make sure it has the detail appropriate for your business and to really think about what you want in there. Okay, so your clarity of purpose, why am I doing it, and the planning to make sure you catch that information, very important. Draft it up, give it a good look, make sure it's happy. Once you've got all that together, start thinking about, well, how are you going to communicate it out to your people or to the stakeholders in your business, and also think about your legal record-keeping documents or your legal requirements for keeping documents in your organisation. Okay, so that's going to put you in good stead to get a plan together and make sure that you've got good quality documentation that is easily understood in your organisation. Thank you.